symbolizes entire cosmic. So, in the Vedic text, the yajna as a term implies a synchronized, productive, creative activity. It's something like a grand symphony where each and every element has to contribute to the overall success. And the conductor of this symphony is Rita or Dharma. And Rita or Dharma is upheld by Devi herself. So the yajna is, uh, or Rita is that order which is prevalent everywhere, and the Rita is that which maintains the synchronization amongst all the beings. So it is regarded as, uh, uh, with regard to yajna, it involves three factors. Number one, all the divine cosmic forces, they act out. There is a coordination of elements and the components in this entire cosmic phenomena. And there is a fusion of an individual in the collective whole. So the mantra in the Rig Veda, it says, Prichamitva Prathamam Prithivyaha Prichami Yatra Bhuvanasya Nabhihi Yam Vedihi Parato Antaha Prithivyaha Ayam Yajnaha Bhuvanasya Nabhihi. This Yajna is Bhuvanasya Nabhi, is the navel of the entire existence. So the term Yajna, or the calling it as the navel, the very center, is to show that the coordination or the coordinated and the synchronized activity, all the cosmic forces together, where the individuals, each and every individual participates, was called as yajna. And Acharya Abhinav Gupta very beautifully in Tantraloka draws this allusion to show the universal consciousness as the one and only principle existing, but appearing to function in multiple ways, that we are misled to think there is only diversity. But in the diversity, there is a fundamental unity. And that fundamental unity is established by the Nama Yajna. So she is Yajna. Then Veda Vishwa Vibhavini. Veda Vishwa Vibhavini. Vibhavanam means bringing forth, or uh, giving a clear cut vision. Veda Vishwa Vibhavini. She brings about a clear conception about the Vishwa through Veda. Because when we look at any systems of Indian philosophy, the darshanas, we'll find that there are two fundamental questions that each of the darshana tries to answer. They agree upon certain basic steps in these. The finer nuances is where the differences comes between the different schools. First question is, what prevents us from attaining the moksha, or the state of uh, perfect bliss? The second question is, what is the process to be followed to attain moksha? So, answering the question of what prevents us, it says the root cause is ajnana. Ajnana is not absence of knowledge, ajnana is miscomprehension, not seeing things as they ought to be seen. So, because of the ajnana or the miscomprehension, there is the generation of dosha or distorted view. Because of the distorted view, what happens is the pravritti or the action. And any action done without having a proper know-how results in dukkha. And since this chain or goes in like an auto loop, it results in the cycles of janma and marana, or the janma chakra, which is what we call as the samsara. So, what is the process to be followed for attaining moksha? Since the cause was ajnana, tattvajnana, having the right understanding. So, the moment you have the right understanding, there is no scope for ajnana, there is no scope for the dosha, there is no scope for karma, there is no scope for janma, there is no scope for dukkha or samsara. So Devi presents to us that Tattvajnana which is embedded in the Vedas and helps us see the world clearly. Veda Vishwa Vibhavini. The next nama is
Astra Shastramayi Vidya.
Vidya. She is the Vidya Astra Shastra Mayi. We have we have already seen that under the hierarchical classifications of knowledge systems, we had three distinct stages in the pyramid. The lowest was occupied by the practical sciences, which we call as the Chatushashti Kalas. It encompassed of all the practical arts and crafts. Anything to be practiced requires a theoretical base. So that theoretical base was provided by pure sciences. And the name by which pure sciences are referred to in our system is the Vidyasthanas. So there are 14 Vidyasthanas or 18 as some of the schools ascribed. So Chaturdasha or Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas. Finally leading to experiential wisdom by which we are able to realize our true self, our true potential, which is the Tattvajnana. So this is the knowledge hierarchy. So in the knowledge hierarchy, the Astra and Shastra, they form the part of the Kalas, at the same time derive information from the Vidyasthanas, that is the Dhanurveda. So Dhanurveda is not archery. Dhanurveda, which is the Upaveda of the Rigveda, is military science. It's not merely to be understood in the restrictive sense of archery, though the term Dhanuhu means bow. It refers to the entire science of military. So Devi is that form of Upaveda which represents the military science. So the nama says Astra Shastramayi Vidya. Astra. Astras are those which are normally discharged by the person. This is a understanding. So if you throw something, something like an arrow or a javelin, etc., that is astra. If you hold it in your hand in the battle, it is shastra, axe or a sword or things like that. This is one way of looking at it. There is another uh, way of looking wherein it says that astras are not physical weapons. Nevertheless, they are weapons, but they are the ones wherein certain mantras preceded over by certain devatas infuse the power of destruction to any particular object. In Ramayana, we have a reference wherein Devi Sita, she puts a blade of grass in between herself and Ravana and says, "You cannot cross this," because that blade of grass is infused with the power of the mantra. Or there is one more thing wherein the Kakasura Vrittanta, wherein Devi Sita is, Rama is lying on the lap of Sita, and Indra's son Jayanta assumes the form of a crow and comes and pecks and disturbs her. And Rama is so angered, he just takes a grass, a darbha, which is lying next to him, infuses the power of the Brahmastra and releases it on him. So the way the second interpretation is that astras are those which are powered by the mantras and the devatas, whereas shastras are the normal weapons which do not have or which uh, are not engaged with the mantric powers. We have ample evidences to support both these interpretations. So, Astra Shastramai Vidya, Devi is that form of military science wherein we use these weapons normally, or when learned from a proper Acharya or a Guru, you infuse the power of the mantras on in order to cause whatever effect we want to create. So, Astra Shastramayi Vidya. The next nama says Vara Shastra Astra Dharini. So, as a Vidya, she has given this knowledge for the mankind to be used for specific purpose. And the next nama says Vara Shastra Astra Dharini. One who has or holds the astras and shastras, which are of the highest order. Vara means the best. The one who holds the best astras and the best shastras in her multiple hands. I think in some of the previous namas, we have seen that the spiritual interpretations for many of these astras are explained in the texts, and when they are employed in Devi Bhagavata or Durga Saptashati or Chandi Path, we find that Devi is using a particular weapon in a particular situation. And when we look at it from a very spiritual point of view, the weapon stands for a particular spiritual discipline which has to be used in order to negate a particular negative uh, influence or negative quality in the sadhaka. For example, Mudgara. Mudgara is like a hammer which is used to crush. So, in places where Mudgara is found to be used by Devi, the demon would be representing that form of vileness or that form of negativity existing in the person, which needs to be not which needs to be destroyed to such an extent that it cannot be reassembled, just as a hammer will make it into small bits and pieces which cannot be reassembled and used again, so it cannot be brought back. So the astras have spiritual significances. So when Devi uses these astras and shastras, one is for the protection at the physical, the other is that these are jnana upayas. That's what the Bhashya says. They are means of right knowledge, right disciplines, by which we will be able to overcome certain negative tendencies. So she is Vara, Shastra, Astra, Dhari. Next
Sumedha
one.
Satyamedha
Sumedha.
cha.
So Medha. Medha means the highest form of intelligence, also known in the Vedic terminology as prajna or dhi. So the difference between vidya and dhi is that vidya is acquired intelligence. Dhi is the innate wisdom which has to be realized. So it's like having a lamp which is covered by uh, a glass cover, which is filled with the sooth. So if the light is not coming out, nothing needs to be done with the light. All it has to be done is you remove the glass cover and you clean it and put it back. You will have sufficient light coming out of the lamp. So for the manifestation of dhi, nothing needs to be done. Or for prajna, nothing needs to be done. It is self-luminous. Knowledge is, wisdom is self-luminous. So medha is also another uh, term which is used synonymous with dhi and kya. Sumedha. Why is it Sumedha? Does it mean that there is an inferior medha and there is a superior medha? No. It means that the medha which leads to a shobhana, an higher state. So the intuitive wisdom, which when realized, takes us to the uh, to the understanding or the realization of our existential nature. So she is Sumedha. Satyamedha.
Satyame.
Why is she Satyamedha? Because what is absolute true knowledge always is associated, the knowledge is always associated with being the absolute truth and being blissful. All the three exist in tandem. So the knowledge which is absolute truth and it is blissful at the same time. So this explains the usage of the term Satyam, Shivam,
Shivam Sundaram.
Sundaram. That which is Satya, which is absolute truth, is Shiva, highest form of wisdom. And that is always blissful, Sundaram. And uh, these were the words by which Sri Vishwanatha signed on Sri Ramcharitmanas. So when Ramcharitmanas was presented uh, in his Garbhagriha for his sanction, the next day morning when they opened the Garbhagriha, they found Satyam Shivam Sundaram written on, and it is accepted as the Hastakshara, the signature of Vishwanatha himself. So how does he sign himself? He signs himself as Satyam, Shivam, and Sundaram, that which is absolute truth, which is blissful, and which is of the uh, uh, highest form of wisdom or knowledge. So she is Satyamedha.
Bhadrakali Aparajita.
She is also Bhadra Kali. You know the term Kali is from the root Kalanam, to calculate. So she is the form of she is that form uh, which which existed before the concept of time even came into uh, being. That is why she is Bhadra Kali. Bhadra means one who is noble, one who is auspicious. The Kala Tattva, when it comes at the stage when there is a contraction. It is because that is why Kala is one of the Kanchukas. So the moment the Kala Tattva comes, the Desha also obviously comes into place, because the time and space are the two essential axes for the phenomenal world to exist and understand. So she exists even before the Kala Tattva comes into being. Therefore, she is Bhadrakali. Otherwise, we understand Bhadrakali as one who delivers the devotee from any kind of uh, dangers or apprehensions. So, in the Puranic texts, the Bhadrakali Upasana is prescribed for overcoming challenges, for overcoming obstacles that we may face either in spiritual practices or even in our worldly day to day life. So she is that uh, who, because precedes time, wields the entire power of time, and she is not bound by the limitations of space and time. She is Bhadrakali. Hence, she is
Parajita.
aparajita. Parajaya is defeat. Aparajita, one who is never defeated. In the uh, in the Laukika Bhasha, when we use the term Parajaya, it means someone who could not reach or touch the goal which he had stipulated for himself, and someone else achieved it before he could. This is what we understand as Parajaya. So, who can be undefeated? Someone who is always able to achieve that level of success. That's one way of looking at it. Other way is someone who does not have any wants. If I don't have any needs, if I don't have any wants, if I don't have any cravings, then there is no parajaya possible. And Devi, in her essential form, is Nitya Tripti Dhama. She's ever content. Why? Because she is Purna. She is complete. She is the whole. So one who is whole, one who is ever content, will not have the need for anything. And therefore, there will not arise any situation wherein we can even discuss about defeat. So she is Aparajita. We normally understand the term Aparajita when we speak about the Matrika Shaktis, the Saptamatrika Shaktis, we associate Aparajita with Indrani. So Aparajita is Indrani. That is why in Devi Mahatmya, the fourth Adhyaya, which is a stuti, Chakradaya Suraganaha Nihateti Virya. It starts with the mantra. That fourth Adhyaya is called as Aparajita Stuti because it was uh, the prayers were led by Indra, and the Shakti of Indra is Aparajita or Indrani. So, Aparajita is understood as Indrani when we look at it as from the point of view of the Saptamatrikas. So, Aparajita. Next nama is
Gayatri. Gayatri.
Gayatri. Gayatri. Gayatri as a Devata, Gayatri as a Chandas. There are two Swarupas, there are two forms. The Veda mantras are bound by certain metrical rules. What are these metrical rules? Meters are introduced in order to govern the uh, the unity of the text, in the sense to prevent any sort of distortion in the text. the mantras were composed in metrical form. Not all mantras, all the because when we speak about the Veda mantras, we have three types of Veda mantras. The one is called as the Richaha. The second is called as the Yajus. The third is called as the Saman. Richaha are those which are composed in a metrical format. Yajums or Yajus are prose. There is no metrical format. It's like how we write a prose. And Saman is the rik, which is composed in a particular musical notation. So the Veda mantras exist in these three forms. Either they are rik, or they are yajush, or they are sama. The entire Rig Veda is composed of the rik. The entire Yajur Veda, be it is the Krishna or the Shukla Yajur Veda, is not entirely composed of Yajus. It has a combination of certain riks, and it also has the Yajus. That is, it has certain prose, predominantly prose, poetry also. The Samaveda is nothing but 95-96% of the Rigveda mantras set to tune. Atharva Veda has a has has both. It has both the riks as well as the Yajus things. So meter is, for example, to explain very simply, Gayatri as a meter means having 3 lines and each line having 8 letters. So the famous Samitra Gayatri, when we do the counting, we will know this. The Savitur Varenyam 8. Like this for the other two padas also, when we see, it will follow the same format. So Gayatri as a meter has 3 lines, 8 letters per line. There are other meters wherein similar definitions are given. For example, Pankti will have 5, Anushtup will have 4, Jagati, Ati Jagati, etc. Gayatri as a Devata, when we look at it, she comes, or the introduction of Gayatri as the Devata, the form that we see with the 5 heads, Mukta, Vidruma, Hema, Neela, Dhavada, Chayehi, Mukhehi, all those, we come across that in the Puranic literature and in the Agamic literature. The Gayatri as a Devata stands for the Panchakrityas, the Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana, and the Anugraha, represented by the 5 faces, each face having different colors. And she is called as Gayatri because she is the Devata of that particular Chandas, no doubt about it. And the term Gayatri means Gayantam Trayate iti Gayatri. Anyone who devotionally practices, contemplates, chants is sure to be saved. And we know how the Devatas save us by bestowing the right knowledge. So Gayantam Trayate, one that which protects a person who is devotedly singing. Gayantam Trayate iti Gayatri. So Gayatri is considered to be a Mahamantra because in the when we understand the mantra there, we will know that we are praying for Dhi, Dhiyaha, Naha Dhiyaha. May our Dhi be kindled. So may our wisdom, the innate wisdom, be kindled. So it is a prarthana, it's a prayer for attaining the highest form, Adhyatma. the spiritual wisdom. To an extent that later on, any mantra was equated with the Gayatri mantra. The Panchadashakshari Vidya, which we call as the Shri Vidya, which consists of 15 letters. While giving the explanation to these, the meanings to the Panchadashakshari Vidya, Bhaskar Raya, he interprets Panchadashakshari, the first set, the first kuta, second kuta, and the third kuta, the first set of letters and all. And he gives the explanation of those letters with the entire Gayatri Mantra. The Savitri Gayatri Mantra is what I'm speaking of. And finally, he concludes that the person who contemplates thus and chants the Panchadashakshari Vidya, he is equivalent to chanting 4 times the Gayatri Mantra. How? There are 3 kutas. So, by the Yashti Bhava, there are 3 times we are contemplating on the Gayatri, and there is a Samashti, sum total. So, one Panchadashakshari Vidya is equivalent to 4 times the Savitri Gayatri Mantra. But the yardstick was always Savitri Gayatri. The reason being that prayer was for the highest form of wisdom, the jnana, the dhi.
Dhimahi.
So that every other devata started having a Gayatri or a mantra composed in the Gayatri meter. These are found in the Mahanarayana Upanishad itself. So the Gayatris for the devatas are found in the Mahanarayana Upanishads. So Gayatri is that principle which, when contemplated, bestows wisdom and therefore saves and makes the whole experience of being born in the Sanatana Dharma fulfilled. Because ultimate goal of every person in the Sanatana Dharma is to attain the moksha. Because only here, as a human, we are endowed with the capacity to think, capacity to reason, and the right form of reasoning is also taught to us. So if we don't make use of the capacity and the path shown, then we are wasting our human existence. So the emphasis was for that. And that is the reason why they stipulated the chanting of the Gayatri as a part and parcel of one's Nitya Anushtana, 3 times a day in the form of the Sandhya. Okay, so she is Gayatri.
Next name is Satkriti. Satkriti.
Satkriti. What happens when a person is devoted or he is devotedly indulging in his Anushtana? Okay, through Gayatri. It results in all his actions becoming the right actions. Sat Kritihi.
Kriti.
Because we are now endowed with the right intelligence. So the logical next step would be that
Right
endowed
action.
with the right intelligence, you would be doing the right thing. That is why after Gayatri, the Nama is Satkriti.
Satkriti.
This is why we sometimes wonder that had it not been for Paramashiva, this Bhavani Sahasranama could not be a human composition. Because that sequencing is very, very important in any work. For any book to be popular, any book to be effective, to create an impact, the sequencing is very, very important. Be it story, be it poetry, and anything. So this sequencing, this amount of depth of thought, probably no human effort could produce. So it is only Parameshwara who could do it for the welfare of the humanity. So right next to Gayatri, he places the Nama Satkriti.
Satkriti.
So the right actions, which are guided by the true or the right wisdom.
Right knowledge.
Satkriti, right knowledge. Next Nama is Sandhya.
Sandhya.
Sandhya. We will take it up in the next session because the next three Namas, Sandhya and Savitri and all these, they are all
Savitri,
connected.
Tripadashya.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure,
Namaskar. ji,
sure,
Namaskar.
We'll stop there.
Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
God
Thank
bless you
you.
all. bless you
Namaskar.
all.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Namaskar. sir.
Namaskar. Namaskar. Thank you.